The Galactic Federation, an alliance of many alien species from across the universe, had always been known for its strict rules and careful balance of power. Its goal was to maintain peace, order, and cooperation among the countless civilizations that existed within the galaxy. The Federation had created a set of laws that every species had to follow, and they were well respected for their ability to enforce these laws without hesitation. However, one decision made by the Federation shook the entire galaxy to its core, especially the humans. It was a decision no one had expected. The Federation announced that humans were to be banned from participating in the upcoming galactic war. This war, a battle between several powerful alien races, was set to take place over resources and territory on the outer edges of known space. It was a battle that would determine the future of many civilizations. And yet, for reasons no one could fully understand, humanity was not allowed to take part. At first, the humans were confused. The Federation had never made such a bold move before. How could they ban a species from something as significant as this war? The humans had been allies of the Federation for centuries, and their contributions to galactic peace were well known. Many thought that this decision would be temporary, an oversight perhaps. But as the days turned into weeks, it became clear that the ban was not a mistake. News of the decision spread quickly across Earth and the human colonies on distant planets. There was outrage. The human leaders, scientists, and military officials were especially furious. They had always believed that humanity had earned its place among the stars. After all, humans had fought in past galactic conflicts, had been key allies in major Federation victories, and had contributed to many technological advancements that helped countless alien species. What reason could the Federation have to make such a drastic move? A team of high-ranking human leaders, including General Elisa Carter, a respected strategist, and Dr. Lucas Harrington, a scientist who specialized in alien technology, was formed to investigate the Federation's decision. They believed there had to be a valid explanation, even if it was hidden behind layers of bureaucracy. But what they uncovered was far more unsettling than they could have ever imagined. They began their search in the Federation's archives, hoping to find something that would shed light on the situation. They combed through centuries of documents, recordings, and files, trying to find any mention of humanity's past involvement in galactic conflicts. But as they dug deeper, they discovered something that the Federation had kept hidden for millennia. A piece of history that had been erased from official records. Long before humanity had joined the Federation, before Earth had made contact with alien life, there had been a war. An ancient galactic conflict that had nearly torn the galaxy apart, and the humans had played a key role in it. They had been part of a race of beings known for their ingenuity and adaptability, traits that made them both valuable and dangerous in warfare. The war had been devastating. Entire star systems had been destroyed, and countless lives were lost. The Federation had worked hard to ensure that no one would remember the full extent of what had happened, and they had erased much of the history from their archives. But the humans, being the curious and relentless species they were, had begun to uncover the truth. The records indicated that during this ancient war, humans had been the wild card, an unpredictable force that had thrown off the balance of power. While the alien races involved in the conflict followed strict codes of conduct and battle strategies, the humans fought with a completely different approach. They were quick to adapt, ruthless when necessary, and most importantly, they were able to outthink and outmaneuver their enemies in ways that no one had anticipated. Their tactics were chaotic and unpredictable, which made them a serious threat to even the most powerful alien forces. The Federation's leaders had known that humans could not be controlled in the same way other species were. Their resourcefulness, their ability to think on their feet, and their willingness to take risks had led to victories that no one else could have achieved. But it had also led to catastrophic losses, and the Federation could not afford to let that happen again. They knew that if humanity were ever allowed to fully participate in another galactic war, the results could be disastrous. The more General Carter and Dr. Harrington dug, the more they realized the extent of the Federation's fear. Humans, with their unpredictable nature and extraordinary capabilities, were seen as a wild card, a force that could either save or destroy everything. And the Federation, in its wisdom and fear, had made the decision to keep humanity out of the coming war. The truth, however, was far more complicated than anyone had imagined. As the investigation continued, the humans began to ask themselves, was the Federation truly trying to protect the galaxy from humanity's potential, or were they hiding something much darker? They knew they couldn't rest until they uncovered the full truth, because something about this decision didn't add up. The deeper General Elisa Carter and Dr. Lucas Harrington went into their investigation, the more unsettling their findings became. The truth about why humanity had been banned from the Galactic War was not just about fear of their unpredictability. It went much deeper than that. As they sifted through more of the Federation's secret archives, they uncovered a history that had been intentionally erased from the public record, a history that revealed the role humans had played in one of the most catastrophic wars the galaxy had ever known. It all started millions of years ago, long before humans had ever made contact with the Federation. At that time, humanity was just beginning to explore the stars, unaware of the vastness of the galaxy that stretched beyond their home planet. But as they explored, they encountered other species, some friendly, others not so much. These encounters eventually led to a great conflict, one that pitted human colonies against several other powerful alien races. The records described a time when the galaxy was plunged into chaos. It was a war fought over resources, territory, and ideological differences. But unlike the structured and methodical wars fought by other races, humans had a different approach to conflict. Their minds worked in ways that no other species could predict. They were able to adapt rapidly to changing situations and created tactics that disrupted the carefully planned strategies of their enemies. In this forgotten war, humanity had made a name for itself as a fierce and unpredictable force. The human soldiers did not follow the same codes of conduct that governed the other species. They had no regard for tradition, and no hesitation in breaking the rules of war if it meant gaining the upper hand. They fought with an intensity and creativity that made them both feared and respected. Their ability to innovate on the battlefield, creating new weapons and strategies on the fly, became a defining characteristic. But this unpredictability, this wild nature, came at a great cost. While humans were able to achieve victories that no one else could, they also caused widespread destruction. Entire star systems were obliterated, and countless lives were lost in the chaos that followed. The other races of the galaxy, realizing they could not control the humans, began to form alliances to counter their influence. But it was too late. The humans had already disrupted the balance of power in ways that no one could undo. The Federation, formed in the aftermath of this devastating war, took drastic measures to ensure that humanity would never again be able to cause such destruction. They erased all records of humanity's role in the war, rewriting history to make it seem as if humans had never been involved. They placed the blame for the war squarely on the shoulders of other species, hiding the true extent of humanity's actions. As a result, humanity's contributions to the Federation were overlooked and forgotten, their past erased from the minds of all but a few. But as General Carter and Dr. Harrington dug deeper, they realized that the Federation's decision to hide humanity's history was not just about controlling the narrative. It was about fear. Fear of what humanity could become if ever allowed to fully unleash its potential once again. They uncovered classified documents that detailed a secret meeting of the Federation's top leaders, where the decision was made to ban humans from participating in future galactic conflicts. The leaders feared that if humans were allowed to join the upcoming war, their unpredictable nature would once again tip the scales in ways no one could control. They saw humans as a threat to the delicate balance of power they had worked so hard to maintain. General Carter and Dr. Harrington were shocked by the implications of what they had found. The Federation was not just trying to protect the galaxy from humanity's chaos. It was trying to suppress the very thing that made humans unique: their ability to innovate, adapt, and think outside the box. The Federation had created a narrative where humanity was portrayed as a potential danger, a species that could not be trusted with the power to shape the future of the galaxy. But Carter and Harrington knew that the truth was much more complicated than the Federation's story. As they pieced together more of the lost history, they came to a startling realization. Humanity's role in the war had not been one of wanton destruction, as the Federation had claimed. In fact, humans had played a pivotal role in ending the conflict. When it seemed like all hope was lost, humanity's unexpected tactics and sheer will had turned the tide of the war, forcing the warring factions to the negotiating table. The humans had been the ones to broker the peace, not the ones who caused the destruction. Yet this truth had been buried to maintain the Federation's control over the galaxy. As General Carter sat in the Federation's hidden archives, staring at the final pieces of evidence, she felt a wave of realization wash over her. The Federation had been hiding humanity's true potential because they feared it. They feared that if humanity were ever allowed to truly rise again, they would dominate the galaxy, reshaping the balance of power in ways the Federation could not predict or control. Dr. Harrington, equally shocked by the discoveries, turned to Carter. "We've only just begun to uncover the truth," he said quietly. "But now we know why they've kept us out of the war. They fear us, and they will do anything to keep us from realizing what we're truly capable of." The two humans knew they had a choice to make. They could expose the truth and risk everything, or they could remain silent and allow the Federation's false narrative to continue. But one thing was clear: humanity had been kept in the dark for far too long. It was time to shine a light on the truth. The more General Elisa Carter and Dr. Lucas Harrington uncovered about humanity's past, the more they began to understand just how dangerous the truth really was. They had already learned that humanity's involvement in the ancient galactic war was far more complex than the Federation had let on. But there was another secret, one that would change everything they knew about their species' potential. During their investigation, they stumbled upon something that hadn't appeared in any of the Federation's public records: a hidden research project titled the MindLink Initiative. This was a study that had begun long before humanity had joined the Federation, and it was one of the reasons the Federation had feared humans in the first place. At first, the project seemed like a mere curiosity, a study into human psychology and the way the human mind interacted with technology. But as Carter and Harrington dug deeper into the files, they realized that the project had been far more than that. It was a secret program designed to unlock and enhance the human mind's true potential, something that could be weaponized in ways no one had ever imagined. The MindLink initiative was focused on creating a mental connection between individuals, allowing them to work together without speaking, without technology, and without any traditional form of communication. This connection was not just a simple telepathic link. It was a powerful bond that allowed multiple minds to function as one, creating a perfect harmony of thought and action. This link was called the Unified Thought Network. It was a way for humans to synchronize their minds, allowing them to work together with such precision that they could outthink any enemy, regardless of their technology or strategy. The program had been started by a group of pioneering scientists and military leaders who believed that humanity's true strength lay not in their physical abilities or advanced technology, but in the power of their minds. They realized that if they could create a system where humans could think as one, they would be an unstoppable force in battle. The first successful experiments created small, coordinated teams that could perform tasks with incredible efficiency. But as the project progressed, they began to see the potential for something much larger, something that could reshape the very nature of war. Humans, it turned out, had a unique ability to synchronize their thoughts in a way that no other species could. They didn't just work together, they became one. When in the Unified Thought Network, each human mind was able to contribute to the collective intelligence of the group, creating strategies and tactics that were far more complex than any single person could come up with on their own. It wasn't just cooperation. It was unity on a level that was almost beyond comprehension. The Federation had never encountered anything like it. While other species could coordinate their actions and thoughts through technology, humans had unlocked a natural ability to link minds in a way that couldn't be replicated. The Federation realized that if this power were ever fully realized, humanity could become a dominant force in the galaxy. They could outsmart and outmaneuver even the most advanced alien species, rendering the Federation's carefully balanced power structure obsolete. When humans first discovered the true extent of the unified thought network, the results were astonishing. Small teams were able to defeat much larger and more technologically advanced forces. They didn't need weapons of mass destruction or fleets of starships. They only needed their minds. And that was when the Federation started to take notice. The higher-ups in the Federation, initially unaware of the full potential of humanity's abilities, began to see just how dangerous the humans could be if allowed to join future galactic conflicts. The Federation's leaders realized that if humanity's mind-linking abilities were allowed to spread, it could lead to chaos. It was not just about military power. It was about the very fabric of control. The unified thought network could allow humans to form massive coalitions of minds, making them a nearly unstoppable force. No one could predict what would happen if this power were unleashed on a galactic scale. It would throw the entire balance of the galaxy into turmoil, making the carefully laid plans of the Federation and other powerful species meaningless. The decision was made. The Federation would need to ensure that humanity's mind-linking abilities remained hidden and unused. The records of the Mind-Link initiative were erased, and the human scientists involved were silenced. The humans who had been trained in these mental techniques were carefully monitored, and their abilities were suppressed. The Federation feared that if these abilities became public knowledge, other species would attempt to replicate the technology, and soon the entire galaxy could be at the mercy of a new kind of warfare, one where thoughts, not weapons, determined the outcome of battles. As Carter and Harrington pieced together the records, they began to understand the full extent of the Federation's fear. It wasn't just humanity's unpredictability that had led to their ban. It was the terrifying potential of their minds. Humans could think as one, form strategies and tactics that no one else could even imagine, and adapt to any situation with ease. It was a weapon of intelligence, of sheer thought, that no one had ever seen before. But Carter and Harrington also realized something even more unsettling. The Federation had hidden this truth from humanity not only because they feared what humans could become, but also because they feared that humanity would eventually realize their true potential. The Federation had worked tirelessly to keep humans in the dark about their own abilities, ensuring that they would never unlock the full power of their minds. Now, with this knowledge, General Carter and Dr. Harrington knew they had a choice. They could continue to work within the Federation's system, hiding the truth and playing by their rules, or they could expose the power of humanity to the galaxy. They knew the consequences of revealing the truth would be immense, perhaps even dangerous. But they also understood that humanity's future could no longer be controlled by the Federation. It was time for the galaxy to see what humanity was truly capable of. With the knowledge of the unified thought network and the hidden potential of humanity's mind-linking abilities, General Elisa Carter and Dr. Lucas Harrington knew that their investigation had reached a dangerous point. They had uncovered secrets that the Federation had worked hard to hide for centuries, but they also knew that exposing these truths could change everything. As they looked through the records, they realized there was something even bigger that they had to confront. The humans who had been the first to master these mind-linking techniques. It was a forgotten group, sealed away in stasis deep within a Federation-controlled facility, far beyond the known borders of the galaxy. These were the warriors, the pioneers of humanity's mental warfare, who had been instrumental in the ancient galactic conflict. They were the ones who had helped end the war, their minds linked in perfect harmony, creating strategies that no one could predict. But after the war was over, the Federation had deemed them too powerful to be allowed to roam freely. They were placed in stasis, hidden away from the galaxy, to ensure that their abilities would never again be unleashed. Carter and Harrington discovered the location of this secret facility through a series of encrypted files buried deep within the Federation's archives. They found the coordinates to a remote space station, hidden on the outskirts of the galaxy, where these powerful human warriors were being kept in cryogenic sleep. No one had seen them in centuries, and the Federation had gone to great lengths to make sure their existence remained a secret. But now, Carter and Harrington had the information they needed to find them. The two of them, determined to uncover the full story, set out on a daring mission to the facility. They knew it would be risky, but they also understood that unlocking the secrets of the past was the key to understanding humanity's place in the galaxy. The facility was heavily guarded by Federation forces, but with their knowledge of the Federation's weaknesses and their own resourcefulness, they'd managed to infiltrate it without detection. As they navigated through the labyrinthine halls of the station, they finally reached the chamber where the warriors were being kept. The room was cold, sterile, and quiet, but it held a sense of reverence. The humans inside the stasis pods were silent, their bodies suspended in time. Carter and Harrington stood before them, looking at the faces of these ancient soldiers who had been locked away for so long. These were the humans who had once been at the forefront of the unified thought network, the ones who had achieved the ultimate synchronization of mind and body, creating a force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. As they examined the soldiers, Carter couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and fear. These were the humans who had once turned the tide of an entire galactic war. Their minds had been linked in ways that made them unstoppable, but it had come at a cost. The Federation had been right to fear them. The power they held was immense, and if allowed to return to the galaxy, they could shake the very foundations of the Federation itself. But as Carter and Harrington stood there, contemplating the situation, they realized that there was a larger question at play. The Federation had locked these warriors away not just because they were powerful, but because they represented something far more dangerous to the Federation's control. They represented freedom, the freedom to think, to act, and to reshape the future of the galaxy. The Federation had suppressed humanity's potential for so long, keeping them in the dark about their own power, because they knew that if humanity ever realized what they were truly capable of, it would be impossible to control them. The two humans were faced with a dilemma. Should they free these warriors, knowing that their abilities could change the course of history, or should they leave them in stasis, preserving the status quo of the galaxy, where the Federation remained in control? Carter was the first to speak. "We can't leave them here," she said, her voice steady but filled with determination. "These warriors are part of our history, and they hold the key to unlocking the full potential of humanity. We can't let the Federation continue to suppress us. We have to free them." Harrington nodded, his expression grim. "I agree, but we have to be careful. The Federation will stop at nothing to prevent this from getting out. If we free them, we risk everything." Carter looked at the warriors one last time. These were the people who had fought and sacrificed in the past, whose minds had been the weapon that ended a war. Now they were needed again. The galaxy was on the brink of another conflict, and humanity's unique abilities might be the only thing that could make a difference. "We don't have a choice," Carter said finally. "It's time to stop living in the shadows. It's time for humanity to rise." With that, Carter and Harrington activated the stasis pods, awakening the powerful warriors from their long sleep. The humans inside stirred, their eyes opening for the first time in centuries. They looked around, confused at first, but as they realized where they were and who had freed them, a sense of purpose seemed to return to their faces. The warriors stood, ready to act, their minds already beginning to link with each other, forming the unified thought network once again. Carter and Harrington knew that they had made the right choice, but they also understood the risks. The Federation would soon know what they had done, and they would come for them. The galaxy was about to change forever, and humanity would no longer be silenced. The warriors, now fully awake, turned to Carter and Harrington, their synchronized minds already forming a plan. Together, they would face the challenges ahead. They were no longer just individuals. They were humanity's greatest strength, united as one. And nothing, not even the mighty Federation, could stop them now. As the warriors slowly adjusted to their new reality, Carter and Harrington watched in awe. The humans who had been sealed away for centuries were beginning to shake off the grogginess of stasis, their minds quickly re-establishing the powerful link they had once shared. Each of them moved with purpose, as if drawn by an invisible thread that tied them all together. The unified thought network had returned, and with it, humanity's potential. The chamber in which they stood was no longer just a storage room for ancient soldiers. It had become a center of purpose. The warriors, now fully awake, stood as one, their minds instantly communicating without the need for words. Carter, though amazed, felt a chill run down her spine. What they had just unleashed could be both a gift and a danger to the galaxy. "We need to move fast," Harrington said, breaking the silence. "The Federation will detect this breach. It won't take them long to realize we freed them." Carter nodded. "We need to take the warriors off the station and somewhere safe. They can't afford to be found by the Federation." The warriors, whose faces now radiated focus and clarity, had already formed their first plan. They understood the urgency of the situation without anyone needing to explain. The link between them was not just mental. It was a bond that transcended time and space. The soldiers had fought and won wars together in the past, and their minds had not forgotten the strategies they once used. They had returned as a single, united force. Without a word, they moved swiftly, following Carter and Harrington as they made their way back through the facility. Every step seemed synchronized, and every decision was made collectively. As they approached the facility's exit, they encountered no resistance. The Federation had no way of knowing that an entire group of powerful humans had just been freed from their stasis prison. But that wouldn't last for long. As they boarded a stolen transport ship, Harrington quickly set the course for a remote location in the outer rim of the galaxy. There, they could lay low for a while, regroup, and plan their next move. But the journey was far from simple. The Federation had powerful ships, and they would be hunting for the group within hours. The longer they stayed in Federation space, the more dangerous it became. Carter sat at the controls, deep in thought. "What do you think the Federation will do once they find out we freed them?" Harrington ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. "The Federation won't just come for us. They'll come for everyone connected to us. We've just opened a floodgate of possibilities. The warriors, their abilities, our knowledge. It's all dangerous to the Federation's control." Carter understood. The Federation didn't just fear the warriors. They feared the very idea of humanity's potential. The unified thought network could change the rules of the galaxy's power structure. It wasn't just about physical power or technology. It was about human ingenuity, the ability to adapt, think creatively, and work as one. If humanity could once again unlock the full potential of this power, the galaxy would be forever altered. Hours passed as the ship made its way through the stars, moving farther and farther from Federation-controlled space. The warriors were silent but watchful, their minds always in communication with one another. The bond between them was unmistakable, and it filled the room with an aura of unity and strength. Carter had never felt more aware of the immense power that lay just beneath the surface of humanity's seemingly ordinary existence. As they entered the outer rim, far from the watchful eyes of the Federation, the ship docked at an old mining colony. It was the perfect hideout, isolated, off the radar, and forgotten by most of the galaxy. They would have time to think, to strategize, and to decide what their next move would be. But Carter knew that their presence here wouldn't stay a secret for long. They had only a short window of time before the Federation caught wind of their escape. "Once we get to the colony," Carter said, "we'll need to send out a message. We need to make contact with other human colonies, maybe even with the remnants of the old military forces. We can't do this alone." Dr. Harrington agreed. "We'll need allies, and we'll need to convince them that this is not just about us. It's about the future of humanity. If the Federation succeeds in keeping us silenced, the galaxy will never understand what we could have been." As they disembarked, the warriors began to spread out, securing the area. Their movements were fluid, precise, and silent. No one could have guessed that these were the same humans who had been locked away in stasis for centuries. They moved as if they had never been separated, as if the years of isolation had done nothing to break the powerful bond that existed between them. They were not just individuals, they were a collective, an unstoppable force that was ready to reshape the galaxy. The mining colony, once quiet and abandoned, was now a hive of activity. The warriors began to set up communications equipment, and soon they were ready to send their message. It wasn't just a call for help, it was a declaration. They were humans, and they were no longer willing to live under the shadow of the Federation's control. As the message was sent out across the stars, Carter looked out at the dark expanse of space. "We've started something," she said quietly. "There's no going back now." Harrington stood beside her, a grim determination in his eyes. "We knew it wouldn't be easy. But it's time for humanity to rise up. The galaxy has forgotten what we are capable of. We'll make sure they remember." The warriors, once again united, stood ready. The Federation might have tried to suppress humanity's potential, but they could never extinguish the spark that lay within. The fight was only beginning, and humanity would not back down. The message had been sent. Now, the real challenge began. General Carter, Dr. Harrington, and the warriors who had been freed from stasis waited in the shadows of the mining colony. They had set their plan in motion, but they knew it wouldn't be long before the Federation would come looking for them. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's true potential was no longer hidden. It was time to rise, but would the galaxy be ready for them? The colony, once quiet and isolated, was now alive with activity. The warriors moved with purpose, preparing for the next phase. They had to make contact with the old military forces, and they needed to rally as many human colonies as possible to their cause. There was little time to waste. The Federation's reach was vast, and it wouldn't be long before they discovered that humanity had once again unlocked its most dangerous weapon. Carter sat in the communications room, her fingers hovering over the console. The data from the message they had sent was starting to trickle in, responses from different parts of the galaxy, from colonies that had long been forgotten by the Federation. Some responses were filled with fear, others with curiosity, and a few with outright anger. But they all had one thing in common. They had heard the call. "We have to be careful," Dr. Harrington said, looking over her shoulder. "The Federation won't ignore this. We've just stirred up a hornet's nest." Carter nodded grimly. "I know, but we've been kept in the dark for too long. Humanity has to step into the light, and we have to do it now." Just as she finished speaking, a new message appeared on the screen. It was a military contact, a human colony on the edge of Federation space. The message was short but to the point. "We hear you. We are ready. We'll come." Carter exhaled, relieved. It was a start. The message had found its way to someone who was willing to fight. Slowly, piece by piece, they were gathering the support they needed. Meanwhile, the warriors continued to practice and refine their abilities. Each of them, though different in their individual traits, were now part of something greater. Their minds were linked, working together in ways no one else could even begin to understand. Strategies were formed without a single word being spoken. It was as if they had never been separated, as if they had never been locked away for centuries. They were ready for whatever came next. But Carter knew that time was running out. The Federation would soon be on their heels, and the warriors' escape wouldn't stay a secret for long. The message they had sent would ripple across the galaxy, and the Federation would do everything in its power to erase any trace of it. They had to act quickly. The warriors couldn't stay in hiding forever. "We need to leave the colony," Carter said, pacing. "We can't afford to stay here too long. Once the Federation realizes where we are, they'll send a fleet. It'll be over before it even starts." Harrington agreed. "I've already contacted our allies. The colony we heard from. Others are joining them. It's not much, but it's a start." Carter stopped pacing, her gaze sharp. "It's more than a start. It's a spark. We've set the fire. Now we need to fan it. The warriors, who had been listening quietly, stood up. Their eyes were focused, filled with the calm determination that only a linked mind could produce. They were ready to move out, prepared for whatever came next. Together, they were more than a simple group of soldiers. They were a force of nature, a living embodiment of humanity's potential. "Where do we go next?" one of the warriors asked, their voice echoing in Carter's mind. She looked at them, her face set with resolve. "We go to the heart of the Federation. It's time to show them what humanity is capable of." The warriors nodded, their minds already aligning with the plan. They would strike at the heart of the Federation itself. It was a bold move, but Carter knew it was the only way to truly send a message. If humanity was ever going to be free, it had to challenge the Federation head-on. The ship was ready, and the group set out, leaving the mining colony behind. They were headed straight for Federation-controlled space, a dangerous mission, but it was the only way to make their mark. The warriors moved with an almost eerie synchronicity, each step a part of a larger plan that only they could see. They were unstoppable together. As they entered Federation space, Carter and Harrington kept a close eye on the ship's sensors. The Federation would surely detect them soon, but they had one advantage. The Federation had underestimated humanity's power. The warriors weren't just skilled fighters. They were linked by a collective intelligence that was greater than the sum of its parts. They could anticipate movements, read the battlefield, and adapt faster than any enemy could. Carter looked out of the viewport, the stars stretching out before her. She could feel the weight of their mission bearing down on her. But it wasn't fear that she felt. It was something else, something deeper, something that had been buried for far too long. It was hope. For the first time in years, she felt like humanity had a chance, and with the warriors by her side, that chance was greater than anything she could have imagined. The Federation had kept them in the dark for so long, but now humanity was finally stepping into the light. It was time for the galaxy to see what they were capable of. "We're ready," she said quietly, turning to Harrington. "Let's show them." The warriors stood in silent agreement, their minds linked in perfect harmony. Together, they would fight, not just for themselves, but for the future of humanity. And no matter what the Federation threw at them, they would not back down. The spark of rebellion had been lit. The fire was coming. The Federation had been hunting them, but they never expected the storm that was coming. General Carter and Dr. Harrington stood on the bridge of the ship, looking out at the stars ahead. They had made it this far, but they knew their journey was only beginning. They had awakened humanity's hidden power, and now it was time to make the Federation pay for keeping it buried for so long. The warriors were prepared. Each of them stood in silent unity, their minds connected in a way that made them feel as if they were all one being. Their movements were fluid, synchronized, and ready for action. The unified thought network was no longer just an idea. It was a reality that could change the course of history. "We're approaching Federation space," Harrington said, his voice steady but full of determination. "They'll be ready for us soon." Carter nodded. "I know, but they won't expect this. We have something they've never encountered before, our unity. Together, we're unstoppable." The warriors, their minds already linked and functioning as one, acknowledged Carter's words with a deep understanding. Their power wasn't just physical, it was the strength of their collective minds, the ability to think and act as one. And in the face of the Federation's overwhelming force, this unity would be their greatest weapon. As they neared the heart of Federation space, the first wave of enemy ships appeared on the sensors. It was a fleet, large, powerful, and prepared to crush any threat that came their way. The Federation had seen them as a small group, a mere nuisance, but now they realized that these humans, these warriors, were something far more dangerous. The Federation's arrogance had blinded them to the true power of humanity. "They're coming faster than we expected," Harrington said, watching the enemy ships closing in on their position. "We won't run," Carter replied firmly. We're going to show them what humanity can do." The warriors began to move with precision. Their synchronized minds allowed them to make decisions in the blink of an eye, anticipating the Federation's moves before they happened. The ship surged forward, cutting through the void with a speed and agility that the Federation's forces could not match. It was a dance of strategy and will, and the warriors led the charge. As the first Federation ship fired its weapons, the warriors' combined minds reacted immediately. The ship twisted and turned, avoiding the laser blasts with unnatural precision. The Federation fleet, accustomed to facing enemies that could not think as fast or adapt as well, found themselves struggling to keep up with the unpredictable movements of the humans. Every shot they fired missed its target, as if the warriors were always one step ahead. Carter stood at the controls, her hand steady, as she guided the ship through the battle. The warriors, though they didn't speak, communicated with her through the link they shared. She could feel their thoughts, their strategies, and their calm determination. It was as if she were one with them, a part of the same unified force. "We've got them on the defensive," Carter said, watching as the Federation ships began to break formation. "We can win this." Harrington didn't respond with words, but his eyes showed the same belief. Together, they were watching the Federation's might crumble in the face of human ingenuity and unity. But then, the largest Federation ship appeared. It was a battleship, a symbol of the Federation's power and authority. It was massive, armed with weapons capable of destroying entire fleets. This was the Federation's final push to eliminate the threat they now realized humanity posed. The warriors, though undeterred, knew this was going to be their greatest challenge. They gathered their strength, their collective minds focusing on the enemy ship, analyzing its defenses, its weak points. The Federation had underestimated humanity's capacity for strategic thinking, and now they would pay the price. "This is it," Carter said, her voice calm but filled with purpose. "We hit them with everything we've got." The ship surged forward, and the warriors' minds locked in even tighter unity. The Federation battleship unleashed a barrage of powerful energy blasts, but the humans were ready. The ship twisted, dodging the attacks with a precision that seemed impossible. As the Federation ship reloaded, the warriors launched their counterattack. Energy beams from the ship's weapons fired in perfect unison, striking the Federation battleship in its vulnerable spots. The Federation ship's shields flickered and then failed, leaving it exposed. With one final, coordinated strike, the ship's core was breached, and the battleship exploded in a burst of light. The Federation fleet, now leaderless and in disarray, began to retreat. The warriors, with their combined might, had shattered the Federation's superiority in the blink of an eye. What had once seemed like an unstoppable force was now in retreat, leaving humanity victorious. As the battle ended, Carter let out a slow breath. The Federation fleet had been defeated, but the war was far from over. The Federation would not give up easily, and the warriors knew they had just begun to spark the fire of rebellion across the galaxy. "We've won this battle," Carter said, her voice steady, "but the real fight is just beginning." The warriors, their minds still linked, acknowledged her words. Together, they would continue to fight, to bring the truth of humanity's power to every corner of the galaxy. The Federation might have tried to silence them, but humanity was no longer hidden in the shadows. They were rising, and nothing could stop them now. The storm had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.